There was no more powerful measure that Los Angeles had arrived as a city of prominence than the sheer size of the crowd that gathered to witness the formal dedication of its first monumental structure, City Hall. On the morning of April 26, 1928, more than 500,000 cheering spectators lined the sidewalks to witness the biggest civic parade ever staged in any city west of Chicago. The parade that began on the corner of 16th and Hill Streets featured 32,000 marchers, 34 bands, and scores of festooned floats. Modern-day veterans who had returned from battle in the First World War mixed with their predecessors who fought decades earlier in the Civil and Spanish-American Wars. At 7 p.m., President Coolidge pressed a gold telegraph key in his White House study that illuminated the giant Colonel Charles A. Lindbergh Airway beacon atop City Hall 3,000 miles away, sending its brilliant rays skyward. The next day, reporter Harry Lang wrote in the Examiner, "There have been dedications in this town before, but compared with yesterday's, they loom about as impressive as would a switchman's shanty beside the City Hall that was dedicated." The structure was a bold statement about the future of Los Angeles and the latest in a long list of iconic buildings designed by John Parkinson, its preeminent architect. In just 30 years, the city's population had exploded tenfold, from 100,000 to nearly 1.25 million. Los Angeles was now the fifth largest city in the country, surpassing major established East Coast cities such as Boston, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. More than any other architect, John Parkinson defined Los Angeles as a city that embraced the future. He was the dominant architect during a period of unparalleled expansion, a time when Los Angeles transitioned from merely an outpost into a major metropolis conceived to be the most important city in the United States.
John Parkinson was the greatest public architect of Los Angeles at a time when Los Angeles was inventing itself. He was so busy, he was such a founder through architectural statement of Los Angeles that he's almost co-terminal, co-identified with the city itself.
He was the self-made man and didn't follow the formula of other famous architects in America who got their start by perhaps good social connections. He literally came to the United States with no money.
Parkinson's a mystery in the sense that there's so little written about him, but his legacy is entirely before our very eyes in the built environment of Los Angeles in iconic ways.
If we define a city by the buildings that have stood the test of time, if we define a city by the structures that remain today, that organize everyday life, business life, commercial life, social life, then Parkinson represents a towering figure.
I think the irony of Parkinson's career is that he created these monumental, iconic buildings and structures in Los Angeles that have come to define the city. But he was working concurrently with the sort of darlings of architectural history and criticism, Richard Neutra, Rudolf Schindler, Frank Lloyd Wright. They are the architects, because they were modernists, who've gotten all of the attention. None of them created the same kind of monumental or iconic imagery that came out of the office of John Parkinson.